Welcome everyone. I am so excited to share with you today some goal setting strategies to really help you not only feel equipped, but know not only the why of why you want to get to whatever your goal is, but the how to. I really believe it's important to have not only a why, but also a strategy and a plan to help you reach your goal. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, everything got changed here on the bottom. Trying to find, why can I not find that? Where to? Okay, that's not good. Oh, here it is. Sorry, guys. Okay. All right. That. Why is that not letting me go big? Okay, thank you. All right, so I want to start by sharing my story. So for those who might not know, I am a former teacher and I taught for about 5 years. And I know what it's like to be in debt. I know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. I know what it's like to scrape by and not know where, you know, the next thing that could break, where that money is going to come from. And I know what it's like to be stressed with financial things. And I share that today because a big reason we do this business is the financial freedom and the time freedom that this business allows you. And I really want you to think about two things as you're attending this webinar today or watching the recording. I want you to ask yourself, what will your future self thank you for doing today? And when you say you do something, do you follow through? And be honest, allow yourself some grace because we're all guilty of this, right? We say, oh, I'm going to eat better tomorrow, or I'm really going to start working on my business. And then we fail to follow through. And there's a couple reasons for that. But when I started my business over 11 years ago, like I said, we had a lot of goals for our family. One of the goals we had was to be able to move into a house one day. One of the goals we had was to be able to pay cash for a vehicle. One of the goals we had was to get out of debt. One of the goals we had was to be able to no longer live paycheck to paycheck. And my journey to master coordinator started there. Everybody starts someplace. And in my first few months of the business, I quickly saw the importance of having a strategy and a plan for your business. In fact, that was what helped me to get to director. And then a few months later, director to senior director. And then a few months after that, from senior director to coordinator, and so on. And now, 11 years later, I'm at master coordinator, the top rank in Shaklee. And I want to share with you some of the strategies of how I got there. Also, if you're anything like me, you love planners. In fact, I've gotten a lot of questions on what planner I use. I've used a lot of different ones, but my planner is the Ivory Paper Co. And I really like a daily planner. Now, I know some people really like weeklies, and that's okay. But for me personally, I know the importance of mapping out and time blocking, which I'll talk more about. And for me, that required having a daily planner that will help me not only with my priorities, but also my to-do list to help me with my goals. So I want to start by talking about, why do we want to set goals? We want to help set goals to avoid distractions, to help trigger new behaviors, to help you to see where you started, where you are, and how much further you need to go, to help you to keep yourself accountable and on track, help you to stay focused, give you direction, and shape your character and help you create a progress mindset that helps you to move forward. One of the most powerful things when it comes to our business is to remember the book called The Slight Edge. And what The Slight Edge talks about is the power of small daily habits that compound over time. So let's say I have a goal of reading 20 minutes every day, just to start in January. In the first few days, I might say, oh, this didn't really get me anywhere, right? Because I'm reading and I got a couple chapters in, but that's about it. But did you know if you compound that over time, you will have read many books by the end of the year. And I share that analogy because oftentimes we give up in those early stages of feeling like it's not making any difference. And we lose out on the big picture of what those small daily actions can do. And I want to make sure when we talk about goal setting that we specifically hone in on the activities that move you closer to your goal. So whether you have a goal for reaching director, whether you have a goal for reaching coordinator, key coordinator, whatever your goal is, we need to be very clear on what activities will get you closer to your goal. I also think it's very important that we take a step back, especially in January, and we begin to analyze what are the strengths that you have and the weaknesses that you have. We all have them, right? And it's okay to have weaknesses. I have many weaknesses. In fact, the weaknesses are the opportunities for us to improve and learn and grow from. But if we don't realize what those weaknesses are, then we don't have a way of moving from A to B. And I'll talk about some ways of really helping you with those weaknesses. But I also think it's important to think about any possible blocks that you are facing in your business. Maybe it's a mindset block of, oh, I'm just not going to get to director. Oh, I just don't have the time. Oh, I keep trying to post on social media and it's not working. Whatever those blocks are, we need to be real and honest about them so that we can try and overcome them. So when it comes to our weaknesses, I want to talk about the importance of personal development. Maybe time and productivity is one area that you really want to hone in on. I thought it would be helpful to give you some podcast recommendations that I really enjoy. Feel free to take a screenshot of this. But these are some podcasts that I spend a lot of time listening to because so much of our business and so much of our goal setting really happens between our ears, and having that positive mindset that we really can achieve what it is that we set forth to do. So these are some of my most favorite recommendations. Also, if you feel like you have a weakness, let's just say with time management, then I encourage you to spend time surrounding yourself with podcasts that help you with that weakness. Maybe you have a weakness for sharing the business. Find some podcasts to really help encourage you to learn how to share the business. So when we think about our goals, I really want you to get comfortable saying no. And I know I'm an Enneagram 2. Is anybody else an Enneagram 2 out there? I know how hard and difficult it is to say no. But if we are going to reach our goals, there are some things that we need to be very clear on what we will and will not do. You know, oftentimes people comment, I don't know how you do it all, to me. And I always say, I don't do it all. In fact, if you were to look upstairs at my closet, it's a mess right now because I have other goals I'm more focused on than organizing my closet. And that's okay. This is a season of life. But I also think it's really important that when we think about our goals, that we learn to delegate. I think so often we try to do it all and we don't learn to delegate. And I know for me, I have younger kids at home. And so from when I had babies and toddlers to now they're in school, I always have made goals, family goals, so that they understand when I'm working on something, how they can either come alongside me or they help understand the bigger picture of what I am doing. And I also think one thing that's really helpful is to create a family calendar so that you are communicating when you might have an event and you're putting that on your calendar, or when you might be hosting a webinar and you put that on your calendar. So your family knows during that time it's work time, and you communicate that well with your family. Now, disclaimer, I have not always done a really good job with this. In fact, it's something I'm constantly working on and I'm trying to do a better job with, because I really believe when I communicate ahead of time, it helps to avoid any friction, especially with my husband. So what are you willing to do while you work towards your goals, and how can you include your family on those? So one of the things that I do is I'm a big believer in time blocking. Whether you work full time, whether you have kids at home, whether you work a part-time job, when are you going to fit in Shaklee? Because as a business owner, if you do not put in the time, so many other things will come in the way, right? The laundry, the dishes, the cooking, the taking kids to multiple places. So you have to be, just as I do in my calendar, be very clear with when your Shaklee time is. So let's say it's every night from 7 to 8. You know that that is your time. But I'm going to take it a step further with time blocking. And I'm going to encourage you to be specific with exactly what you're going to work on at that hour. Otherwise, what happens, and I've been guilty about this, is I go on, I go to work, and then all of a sudden I go to make a post in my Facebook group, and then I get sucked into Facebook group and I've wasted a lot of time. And so that's why it's really important that you write down exactly what activities you're going to do during that time block time. And I will talk more about income producing activities in a few minutes. So I also think when it comes to goal setting, brain dumping is really, really important. And here is why. Our brains can only absorb so much at once. And because of the way our world is now and information coming at us all the time in our phones, we're constantly thinking about what we need to do. And we need to get that out of our heads and onto paper or onto your phone so that you mentally are not thinking about it. So this happened to me this morning. I was thinking about groceries I needed to add in. And then I saw that my husband was almost out of vitamins. So then I have multiple lists on my phone that I can quickly add to so that I don't have to think and remember those things. So I might have a list that says my Shaklee to-dos, my personal to-dos, people to call, events to plan, and be specific with your Shaklee list. I have multiple Shaklee lists. I also have a Shaklee list of products that I need to order so that when I'm running low on something, I know exactly what I need. But brain dumping is really helpful, especially in today's world, because we get so overwhelmed, and that helps us to not get overwhelmed. And it also helps us to see what I need to accomplish and allowing yourself some grace that things come up and we're not always going to get done everything we need to do. So there's 7 steps for goal setting. We want to think about the results you want to achieve. We want to create SMART goals. We want to be very clear in writing goals down. There's a lot of science behind actually writing our goals down. We want to create an action plan, a timeline, and then we want to take action. So I want to talk about, why do people fail to achieve goals? First of all, I think they don't understand the goal setting process. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's a lack of commitment. Remember when I talked about when you say you're going to do something, do you follow through? Having too many goals, or maybe even setting a goal that's too high that then feels unachievable. A lack of confidence or a lack of motivation. And here's the thing with our business, I will tell you, we can't go based on motivation, because there will be days when we do not want to work our business. Just like there are mornings when I do not want to work out. But if I told myself I was going to work out, I'm going to stay true to my promise, because I know after I work out, I'm going to feel a lot better. I also want to talk about our mindset, because I think that it's so important when we set goals that we remain positive. There's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be disappointments. There's going to be people who say no. There's going to be people who don't get back to you. That is normal, but we can't let that keep us from working towards our goals. So why is it important to plan out our goals? First, it helps you prepare for your future. It helps you identify your goals. It helps you be accountable for what you do, and it also gives you direction. So how can we plan for our goals? We're going to write them down. We're going to prioritize them, set a time frame, write what we need, and then schedule out our to-dos, review our progress, and then refine your goal. Reviewing progress is really important because we want to check in to see how we are doing. I don't know about you all, but because we run on a monthly business, I really believe in check-ins with yourself a quarter of the way, halfway through, and 3/4 of the way through the month. If we're only checking in at the end of the month, that creates a lot of stress, a lot of tension, and oftentimes we're scrambling and trying to get to our goals. But imagine reaching your goals on the 20th or the 23rd of the month. I can tell you that it feels amazing to reach your goals early. I remember when I was growing up and I played soccer, one of the things my mom often taught me to do is to visualize myself scoring a goal. And I will tell you, those times that I visualized scoring a goal, I would score a goal. And that is the power behind our goal setting. And that's why I encourage you after this Zoom to set aside about 30 minutes, maybe even 60 minutes, to really visualize reaching your goals that you have and the feeling you will have when you reach it. Let's say you have a goal of reaching director. How will you feel when you reach director? Let's say you have a goal of helping someone on your team reach director. How will you feel knowing that you helped someone to reach director? And make sure to have realistic deadlines and set manageable goals too. And we're going to talk more about staying motivated, but I think the important thing with motivation is to know you're not always going to be motivated, and that's okay. Sometimes we have to motivate ourselves by remembering the reward and not focusing on how we feel. Okay, so I would love for you to comment if you've ever heard before of SMART goals. I'm sure many of you have, but we are going to break down SMART goals. This is scientifically proven on helping you to reach your goals, and each of the letters stands for something. So the S stands for specific. What do you want to accomplish? The M is measurable. How will you know your goal is accomplished? The A is achievable. Is the goal achievable? Relevant, does your goal seem worthwhile? And time bound, when will you accomplish the goal? I find that many people have a goal, but they lack the time piece. If you say, I would like to reach director, but you don't say by when, you're missing a key piece there. So I encourage you, whatever your goal is, to make sure that you set a short-term and a long-term goal of when that time frame will be. So when we think about specific SMART goals, we want to be clear in a verb to write your action: develop, create, produce, maintain, implement, write. So thinking about what your goal is this year, maybe you want to develop a director. Maybe you want to maintain a rank. Maybe you want to, you yourself want to reach a new rank. And then we're going to talk about a measurable goal, how your goal can be monitored and trackable. So this is really important. If you are not using the back office, I really encourage you to use that consistently, because that allows us a way to clearly measure your progress. Achievable, we want a goal that helps us focus on how important a goal is to you. And this is really important, how to accomplish the goal. And we'll talk more about the how in a little bit. And then relevance refers to focusing on something that makes sense of your goals, and time bound, which I've already talked about. So I want to talk now about activity, because I really believe that when it comes to goal setting, that we are really clear on the activities that will help you with your goals. So I just came up with a couple examples of activities that we should be doing on a consistent basis in our business. Hosting a wellness group, inviting to wellness groups, following up, customer care, hosting a grand opening, helping a teammate host a grand opening. If you'd like to learn more about how I do that, comment below and I can share more about that. But I really believe a grand opening is really important, especially for new people. Maybe mailing samples out to potential people and posting purposeful content on social media. And I wanted to create a checklist that I can provide for each of you to make sure to think about before you post on social media. And the reason I share this is because when we follow these steps, posting on social media can be income producing because it can lead to new people, or sorry, to new clients. So the first one is how you solve a problem. For example, 5 tips to help you sleep better. The second one is on educating and adding value. Does anyone else struggle to get enough protein in their diet? Here are 3 ways I increase my protein. Number 3, share a story or personal experience. I recently did a video on how I was struggling with some digestive issues and how the new gut drink really helped me. And I had multiple people reach out to me about that. I shared my own personal experience or a testimonial of someone else, and that can always be very helpful. Educate and have a clear call to action. Do you struggle with sweet treat cravings? Comment below for my free Healthy Sweet Treat book, and show up authentic and true to you. And when we follow this, I really believe that it can help you in your business. So this is a PV tracker I have as well. I believe it's in the Shaklee Vault. But I really think it's important that we are very clear on the activities we want to do and the PV we're hoping to get out of those. So we're going to go back to the activities of these. So you're going to put those in there and you're going to map out your goal. And I'll talk about director just because that's an important rank in Shaklee and how I do that in a second. But this can really help you make a plan for the month and help take the overwhelm out of trying to get to 2000 PGV. So SMART goals, I want to just show you an example of what this would look like. We're going to reach director with 2000 PGV, and that's specific, and it starts with the verb of reach. We're going to fill out our PGV tracker, and we're going to check our dashboard to make it measurable. We're going to have achievable action steps of adding new customers, caring for customers, hosting wellness groups. We're going to make it relevant. With my extra income, I will take my family on a family vacation. And then time bound, I will reach director by the end of February. Another way to goal set, which I'm just going to very briefly talk about this, is the backward planning process. And the backward planning process, some people really prefer to do. And that's where you define your goal, you identify what you need to do, you create a timeline, and then you update it. So for example, your goal would go here. I would like to reach director. What do I need to do? Your activities, your timeline of end of February, and then adjustments, because we all know life will happen, things will get in the way, maybe an event will get canceled. And so have a backup plan in place. So I wanted to provide also something that I think is super fun that you all can do with your goals, and that is to create a vision board that you can do digitally, and you can save it on your phone, and you can also use it as your computer background. And you may be wondering, why would I do that? Well, the reason we want to do that is we want to remind ourselves daily of the things that we're working towards. And when we do, when we go to pick up our phone or when we go to sit down in our computer, we're remembering, hey, I really want to go on that incentive trip. I really want to be able to have more income for my family. And we're putting those things out consistently and reminding our brains why we're working towards that. I also want to share a free goal setting workbook that I am providing in the January Vault for free right now. And this workbook really dives into way more of what we talked about, but it allows you to do a mind map, your goal setting, and it's just something that you can either print or do digitally that will also help you plan and make a strategic way of getting towards your goals. So some of those in here, and you don't have to do it all. I know that this could feel very overwhelming if you're not a type A or an Enneagram 1, but some people really prefer to get into the nitty gritty. And I think these things can really help you come up with a clear action steps. I also want to mention, as we talk about all of these resources and tools, one of the things I'm really passionate about is helping you create simple systems in your business so that you don't have to spend time creating graphics, materials, and resources, and you can focus on the most important income producing activities in your business. So this is why I have created the Vault, so that it provides you with newsletters and lead magnets and social media graphics and educational tools along with training to help you save a lot of time so that you can focus on what's most important in your business. It's also very affordable, and I'm really excited because in January, I have a lot of tools to help you with the business, to help new clients with some of the things that I do with new clients and a new member orientation that I do with them. I also provide a lot of resources and ways that you can help support your whole 21 clients as well. And having a lead magnet, which I think is always really important for attracting new people. I also want to make sure you save the date. If you grab a January bundle, you can also be a part of my January 17th training that is next week at 7 p.m. Central. I will have a topic on that soon, but this will be a topic that that will be very good to help you with your tools and maximizing to help you reach your goals. I also want to take some time to talk about action steps, and then I will open it up to any questions that you have. So be thinking if you want to pop on and ask me a question. So let's think about some action steps today. First, I want to encourage you to create clear, SMART goals. What are those SMART goals? And be very clear on what those are. I want to encourage you to work on your goal setting workbook so that you feel confident in reaching your short-term and long-term goals, and to identify what activities you need to do to reach your goals, to create a digital board that you can use on your computer or on your phone with your own pictures of what's important to you, and to find other people who are in a who have similar goals as you. And the reason why this is really important, and I like that Shaklee is doing team up soon, is because there will be days when you need the encouragement and the community of other people to keep you going, right? Doing this alongside others is always a lot better because we need that support and encouragement from others. I think that was it. So I want to open it up to any questions you have, and then I will look at the chat feature too. So feel free to unmute and ask any questions. Okay, it sounds like grand opening. I want to talk about that. Or if you want to ask questions in the chat box, you can do that as well. Okay, so a grand opening event. So if you were someone that was opening up a coffee shop, you would have a grand opening, right? You'd put out some treats, you'd send flyers out, you'd invite your close friends and family. It's the same thing with our business. And this isn't too late to do. If you started your business years ago, you can do a grand opening still. That's okay. Or maybe you want to call it a relaunch or something. But I really believe that a grand opening is an opportunity for you to be able to invite some friends and some family to come hear your story and learn more about Shaklee. I also think it's important to make it fun and engaging, just like wellness groups are, where you do fun giveaways and prizes, and maybe you even have an incentive if a friend or a family member invites one of their friends or family members. But these have been really effective in helping people to launch their business effectively. I think what happens often in Shaklee is we get new ambassadors, and then what? What do we do with them? How do we help them? What if they're not on social media? And that is why having a grand opening is so, so, so important. I also think when you're doing a grand opening, I would encourage you to send a voice message inviting people, because you want that personal connection. And I also love making Canva graphics that talk about the grand opening, that have a picture of you, so that people can see more what they're being invited to. So I hope that helps with that. Yes, the recording of this will definitely be available. I'll try and post it as soon as possible in the Shaklee Vault. Definitely. I know some people are not available at this time. Any other questions that anybody has? Does anybody want to comment or share what their goals are for this year? I would also like to hear from you. What do you feel like is the biggest roadblock in helping you to reach your goals? What would you say that is right now? And maybe you don't know what that is. But I think it's important to know what's holding you back so that you can work to try and overcome that. I hear often from a lot of people, it's time. I know we're all busy. So, what are some things you're maybe going to give up in this season to help get you closer to your goal? Maybe you're going to give up TV for a period of time or shorten TV, or maybe you're going to be on social media less, or whatever that is. It's really important to figure out what your roadblocks are so that you can work to overcome them. Okay, so Courtney has to really, or I guess she commented, needing to grow my audience so I'm not just asking close friends and family. That's always been my challenge of confidence in reaching out. Yes, this is great. This is where we need to really think about your niche. And when I say your niche, it's what are you passionate about helping others with? For me, it's weight loss because of my journey of struggling to lose weight. And so I'm going to add a lot of value out there on weight loss. And I'm going to seek to educate and provide lead magnets so that other people will be attracted to me outside of my close friends and family. I also think when we service our customers really, really well, referrals will come your way. So don't be afraid to ask for a referral, because those close friends and family that you have, they want to support you. And oftentimes they have a network of people. So maybe one of the goals you have is to see if one of your friends or family would be willing to host an event for you, virtual or in-home. I've done many, many in-home events over the course of the years, and those can be just as effective, if not more effective, dare I say, than virtual events, than a Zoom. Okay, somebody asked about really good comment about working and not seeing results. So I want to share something about that. We have to divorce ourselves from seeing the results. You know how I shared about the measurable piece and checking your tracker? Maybe that could be more harmful for some of you, because maybe it feels more discouraging to go on and to see where your volume's at. So I want to make sure to clarify that when I say that, what I would instead try to focus on, I would try to not focus on the results so much. I would try to heavily focus on the activities and to keep at it. I can't tell you how many times I post on social media and it'll be crickets or someone doesn't respond. And then all of a sudden I get a message from somebody that's been watching me. I just had this happen this past weekend. Somebody said to me, I've been watching all your stuff. She never comments. She never likes my posts, but she's watching. People are watching you. Just don't give up, and remember to add value and to educate and inspire other people, and other people will be drawn to you. Okay, Amanda, that's a really good point. I need to be able to give ambassadors the right tools to help them grow. It's something I'm trying to work on, because I really believe onboarding is really important for new ambassadors. So stay tuned for that. But I would keep it. Here's what I would do for new ambassadors. That's really, really important. We don't want to overwhelm them. And so I would keep it very simple with them. And what I would do is I would encourage them to do a grand opening and keep it to that, and just help them with the inviting part. And they don't need to know everything about the compensation plan. They don't need to know everything about all the incentives. We want to keep it very simple. We want to help them reach their goals and get income as quickly as possible and see success. And then along the way, we'll start educating and teaching them more. But in the meantime, I would just help them create a list of family and friends that they know and invite them to their grand opening, and keep it very, very simple. I think what happens is we get so excited that someone joined our team, and then we vomit over everything that we want to tell them. And then they get overwhelmed, and then they don't do anything. Instead, maybe make a fun incentive. Hey, if you do a grand opening by the end of January, I'll provide samples for you to use during your grand opening. Something like that that makes it fun and engaging. Okay, and let's see. What is the best place to remain up to date on your news and events? Okay, so the Shaklee Vault, definitely. And then if you've purchased a bundle, the VIP Vault as well. And then make sure if I don't have your email address, because I do email out a lot as well, just send me a message and I can add you to my email list as well, so you don't miss that information. Sometimes I use Flowdesk, sometimes that goes to spam, so just check to make sure that that isn't in your spam folder, because I know that happens to some people. Okay, so I think I answered everything, hopefully. If there's anything else that I missed, please let me know. But just to kind of, Flowdesk is just an email service that I use similar to MailChimp. I highly, highly, highly recommend it because it's very user friendly. And I really believe in keeping things as simple as possible. I'm sure you all are the same way. If you use the code Katie Odom, you can get 50% off your first year too. I really like Flowdesk too, because you can set up a workflow and you can create your whole lead magnets, which I will have more training on that soon. To kind of go back to what Courtney was talking about, lead magnets, for example, meal prep. Maybe you do a post where you have a couple things that you've meal prepped and you share it on your stories or you share it on social media and you say, hey, does anybody else struggle with making healthy choices throughout the week? I created this ebook where I have some tips on meal prepping along with some recipes that really help me to be prepared throughout the week and have some things on hand. Comment below if you'd like that. When we're giving people an add value that helps build a connection with them. Do you plan your posts? How do you do that? Okay, so I do not plan all my posts, but what I do try to do is I try to have a list of ideas ready to go so that when I post, I can pull from them. So I just call them like social media ideas. And as I see them or as I think of them, again, going back to that brain dumping concept, I always have something I can pull from. I wish I could say I plan all mine out, but I'm not that organized, to be honest. And so that's just how I do it. And it seems to work really well. Also, don't be afraid to use old content. I recycle things often and it helps with time. And if a post did really well for you, change the wording a little bit, change maybe your graphic and reuse it. And that will save you time. If you use Flowdesk, what do you use for follow-up? Shaklee or Excel or Google Sheets? I use for Flowdesk. I don't know if I'm understanding the question, Tony. I use follow-up. I would probably connect with them. If it was like on Facebook, I'd probably follow up with them on Messenger or on email. I also wanted to mention something that I'm starting to do, and that's an inquiry form. So if somebody's interested in Whole 21, instead of just sending them a link with all the bundles, I am going to send them a inquiry form where we ask them a series of questions before we get to the sale. And the reason we do that is because we want to know what their diet's like, what their stress level's like, what their protein intake is like, what their hormones are like. Then we can help them create a bundle that's customized to their needs. Meology is great, but it does miss some important key questions that I think is why an inquiry form is really good. Okay, and then the planner that I used, that I used is an Ivory Paper Co. And I think it's like $20. And it's a daily planner. Here, I'll show you this. It's a daily planner where you map out your whole day and it allows you to have priorities here, notes, important, gratitude, and then water. And then I did share these transparent sticky notes that are helpful because mostly for books, but sometimes, you don't want to mark up a book and then, or meal planner, recipe book, and then you can write on them and then they're see-through, which is nice. So those are just some fun things, but I do believe having a planner, whether it's digital or a paper planner, is really important because otherwise, like I said, other things will come in the way. You'll get roadblocks and then all of a sudden it'll be 8 p.m. at night and you didn't get anything done. Yes, I can share that, Jody, and that is Google Forms. Yes, it's Google Forms that I use. Ivory Paper Co. Okay. All right, any other questions? I hope this was helpful for you all. I hope you take the time to really think about your goals and the activities behind your goals. Feel free to share this with your team. I will have this recording available to you this afternoon. Pam, that's a great question. I don't use CRM, but how do I keep track of leads? Again, I use my notes app in my phone all the time. You'll see here, I have all of these different lists that I have out. So I'll have like a follow-up list. I'll have a call list of people I need to call. The website's going down this morning, or not this morning, sorry, this weekend. So I need to reach out to loyalty people about that. So I'm just a very big list person, and also my sticky notes, to be honest. I use sticky notes all the time. The app for the list is Notes. It's just called Notes. I have an iPhone. I'm assuming Android has it, but I use it all the time. It syncs to your iCloud, so I can use it on my phone, and then I can use it on my MacBook as well. But again, it just gets things out of my brain and onto lists. Okay, Tony, that's a good question. I'm going to work on that grand opening, and that is done on Facebook. And if somebody doesn't have Facebook, then we do a grand opening on Zoom. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you guys much longer unless there's any other questions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And it was so good to see you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was really comprehensive and great. Thank
Oh,
you.
good to hear. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.